This retail queen with a big empire is in prison right now. Her name is Michelle Mark, and she is 53 years old. She's a mom living in Arizona and runs a bunch of online stores that resells items at a cheaper rate. In 2012, she starts an Amazon store that resells high-end makeup brands such as Lancome, NARS, and Tate. She stores the inventory in her house, packs it up, and ships it out. At some point, Mark gets an idea. He wants to make more money by stealing makeup from the store and reselling it online. Allegedly, that's what she does. She goes to the store, steals the makeup, and puts it in her Amazon store to resell. She is making 100% profit from this because she's investing literally nothing in the struggle. And she wants to make more money. So she comes up with a plan to get more stolen items at a quicker rate. She's gonna have teams of people going out to steal the items, and that's exactly what she does. She gets shady young women in their 20s to go to different makeup stores, steal a bunch of makeup, and give it to her. Then she resells it on Amazon. And that is how the entire scheme works. She started making lots of money. In 2018, she made so much money that she and her family decided to relocate from Arizona to California. And then she buys a $1.3 million house. The house was so big such that it had its own chapel, a series of pools, a vineyard, and a large ground where she holds weddings sometimes. But still, Mark is like, no, this isn't enough. So she decides to level up her game while in California. At this point, her husband was already involved in this. He is called Kenneth Mark, a 60-year-old male. So Mark and Kenneth decide to expand this operation. They decided to get a lot more of other young women in their 20s with long criminal records to be part of this scheme. Mark started calling them the California Girls. So Mark makes sure the California girls are skilled enough for the job. She messages them on WhatsApp and Facebook and other apps, instructing them on what to bring and what not to bring. Mark sends them long shopping lists of merchandise to get. So then the California girls will go separately to Ulta or Sephora or other retail stores to get these items. And of course, they are not normal customers. They are low-key stuffing their bags and purses with makeup and brushes and all kinds of stuff. And this whole time, Mark is texting them asking for updates to make sure that they get every item on our list. And actually, she ends up being a very tough boss. This operation must be pretty tight because none of the girls actually gets caught. So Mark keeps sending them out again and again, and the business was really booming well. In fact, Mark asked the girls to start recruiting their criminal friends to help them in this scheme, and they do. So eventually there were a dozen of California girls all stealing for Mark's operation. But still, Mark was like, la 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 la, she wants more. She instructs the girls to steal more than makeup. She sends them to lens crafters to steal sunglasses and to other bag stores where the California girls were able to steal handbags and purses for ladies, and she sells them on Amazon too, and she was really doing well. However, Mark was still not contented. She was like, no, I need more. She decides to expand her business outside of the state of California and go national. She started sending the California girls to retail stores in different states across the country. That way, they are not hitting up the same stores over and over again, which would reduce suspicion. She'll send them money for flights, for hotels, rental cars, and all that they needed to finish the operation. And each of the girls would fly to a new state, head to a store, steal the items, and give them to Mark, after which he will resell for a profit. Mark actually stores the items in a house that was acting as a store for the inventory. You might be wondering why these girls decided to risk their lives over such a scheme, but this is because they were actually being well paid, to the extent that each of the girls was being paid 77,000 US dollars, and Mark was making a lot of money too, such that she was making a lot of money to the extent that in 1 year she was able to make $1.8 million from reselling the items at half their prices. In fact, Mark and Kenneth were making so much money. However, the stores they've been stealing from were not stupid. Every time they recorded missing items, they would report to the police, make statements, and submit footage. At some point, the police gets concerned about the theft and starts looking at the surveillance footage critically, and of course they could see the California girls in some of the clips. They were able to identify two of them as they already had series of criminal records. So one day in 2023, as they had stuffed their bags and were walking out of a store, the police intercepts them and arrests them. The police gets warrant to check them, and as one of the officers was going through the girl's phone, boom, of course they land on Mark's chats with detailed instructions on what to do and a list of items to get. So they follow up on Mark and actually arrest her in her mansion together with her husband. They were taken to court and they pleaded guilty. Each one of them was sentenced to 5 years in prison, an additional 4 months. They were also ordered to resell their big mansion to restitute Ulta, Sephora, and other retail stores that they've been stealing from.